All right, here we go. Season 2, Episode 11. The Truth Unfolds. In the last episode, basically, they were leaving the crime scene, Turner and Chastain, and they were heading to Sturgill's diner because they had a little bit of time before Sheriff Reeves and his crew got the murder scenes cleaned up and heading back to the sheriff's office. So they were going to spend a little bit of time. They did interview and let Jennifer Tolbert's parents know that their daughter was attacked and murdered. Her car was found, and they basically gave that bad news and headed to Sturgill's. So that's where we're going to pick up. They're at the diner, all right, sitting in the booth, all right. And as we know, the end of the last episode, Kieran had walked in. He was hungry for some snacks, basically wanted to kill somebody again. He needed the blood, and Sturgill's Diner was a good place to try and pick somebody. So he came in and he's seated behind Turner and Chastain. All right. So, Season 2, Episode 11, The Truth Unfolds. Turner felt around in his jacket pocket to make sure he had his wallet, and in doing so, realized he still had the deputy's radio. Turner said to Chastain, "Crap, I forgot to give the radio back to the deputy." Chastain replied, "Good, we probably should have a radio, because 1, this is our case, and 2, we need to stay informed." "Agreed," said Turner, and put the radio, basically a walkie-talkie, on the table and turned it on and up a little. It was loud enough for them to hear, but not really disturb anyone else in the diner. Kimberly, Rachel's mother, was working her shift and noticed Chastain and Turner sitting at the booth, so she walked over to talk to them. "Hello, detectives," said Kimberly. "Have you gotten any progress or leads on those lighthouse deaths? It would be nice to have some closure on my daughter's death." Chastain said, "First off, let me apologize for the last time we were here. I was inconsiderate of your feelings and did not mean to be rude. We just want to find the person who did that, and possibly the murders that have happened here in Hickory." "Murders in Hickory?" Kimberly asked. "Yes," Turner said. "They are too recent, and the news has not gotten a hold of these incidents yet." At this point of the conversation, Kieran was listening intently. Of course, he could hear everything clearly because of his keen sense of hearing from being a werewolf. He was not being obvious, though, and was acting like he was studying the menu, but he was listening. Suddenly, the radio popped off, and it was Sheriff Reeves. Reeves said, "I am en route to one of the missing persons' house." The mother of the missing boy said all the moms were there, and also one of the missing boy's friend named Jimmy was also there, and he knew where they were, the boys, that is, and where they went last night. Something about a cabin in the woods. Kieran's ears perked, and now he was focused on getting all the information he could. Chastain quickly grabbed the radio and asked, "What victims are you talking about, Reeves?" Reeves answered by saying, "Who is this?" Chastain replied, "Detective Chastain. We still have the deputy's radio from the waitress scene." "Waitress scene?" screamed Kimberly. Kieran now was realizing the detectives will have to be the next victims, not the hostess who he had chosen earlier. Chastain asked again, "What missing persons?" Reeves come back over the radio and said, "We got a short call a short while ago about 3 boys not coming home last night. And of course, due to all the recent happenings, we are definitely taking this call seriously." Nancy, then, the radio dispatch, interrupted to explain more to the detectives by saying, "Dalton was one of the missing boys. His mother had called the other boys' mothers and tried to get information. She knew Jimmy was usually with this group, and last night he was not. She called Jimmy's mother, and they were on their way to a family reunion. Dalton's mother explained the boys did not come home, and they were missing. She wanted to know if Jimmy knew where they were at, and he did. Jimmy's mother, knowing Dalton's mom was scared and worried, turned the car around and headed straight to Dalton's house." Then Sheriff Reeves interrupted and spoke again on the radio. After the long explanation, and told Chastain and Turner he was heading to Dalton's house because apparently everyone who knew anything about the boys was there. Chastain said, "Keep us informed on the visit and let us know what we can do." Sheriff Reeves finally arrived at Dalton's house. He pulled to the curb in front of the house and parked, took a deep breath, unbuckled, and then made his way to the front door. If you're watching this and you're enjoying my story, this thriller right now, you can hit the like button for me and subscribe to my channel. The channel is www.youtube.com/@EricRuggles. The playlist is empty podcast episodes. You can see my previous podcast episodes as well on there, and also the first season. Back to the story. Before he could knock on the door, it opened, and Dalton's mother, with a worried look on her face, said, "Sheriff, please come in. Help us find our boys." Reeves entered the house and took a seat at the kitchen table, where everyone else was gathered around, standing except for the young teenage boy. Jimmy was sitting also. Jimmy's mother said, "Sheriff, Jimmy has something he wants to tell you." Reeves started the conversation by saying, "Jimmy, what is it you want to tell me?" Jimmy reluctantly at first, because he felt like he was snitching on his friends, and snitches get stitches, did not want to talk about it. But Reeves reminded him that his friends were missing, and Jimmy then explained everything. He talked about wanting to prove their braveness to the seniors by tracking down this ogre-like man who lived in a cabin in the woods. They were going to all sleep over at Dalton's house and head to the cabin that night. The boys had heard the tale of the path of to the cabin was basically you headed north from the football field and go deep into the woods. If you kept going north, there would be a cabin in which a giant of a man lived in. People were so scared of this large man, nobody really went too deep into the woods. Plus, they only went deep enough to not be seen smoking weed or vaping before, during, or even after school. Reeves said, "And you did not go, why?" Jimmy's mom quickly answered, "We had a family reunion to attend to today, so he did not spend the night last night." Reeves said, "North from the football field, correct?" "Yes," said Jimmy. "Okay, we'll go check it out," the mothers in almost a unison asked. "Can we come with you?" Sheriff Reeves said, "I would rather you don't, in case there is some sort of danger out there in the woods. Please stay here, and I will inform you first thing when we find them." The mothers understood there may be danger involved and agreed to stay put and let the sheriff do his job. Rayden, now back at his house, decided he would chill on the couch until JJ called him. It wasn't long before Rayden's burner phone rang. A burner phone was easy for Rayden to get, considering of all his powers that he could use to obtain one. Rayden answered, knowing it was JJ. "What is the plan? What are we going to do?" JJ answered, "I need to come see you, and together we can come up with a plan to kill Kieran." "You are at your house, correct?" "Yes," said Rayden. "Do you need my address?" "No, I know where you live. I will be there shortly, and we can discuss what we need to do." "We need all the help we can get, Rayden. So I'm calling the Regional Task Force detectives to meet us at your house as well. I will also let Sheriff Reeves know." "I agree," said Rayden. JJ hung up and made another call. This call was to Detective Chastain. Detective Chastain answered the phone saying, "This is Chastain." JJ started the conversation. "We need to meet." "Who is this?" replied Chastain. "It is J.J. from the sheriff's office. I have information that will blow this case wide open." "What the hell are you talking about?" said Chastain. Turner, anxious, said, "Who's on the phone?" He asked because he saw the look on Chastain's face, a look of "what the F." Chastain whispered, "J.J., the sheriff's office." "All right." Of course, Kieran could hear the whole phone conversation, and now was determined he needed to kill the detectives, and possibly this J.J. person. Then the next words spoken from J.J. to Chastain rang sweet joy in Kieran's ears. J.J. said, "We need to meet, and we can meet at Rayden's house." "Why Rayden's house?" said Chastain, and hearing that, Turner was squirming in his seat, wanting to know. J.J. replied, "Because Rayden will be there." "You found Rayden?" exclaimed Chastain, Kieran with the menu high enough to cover his big smile, was ready to end this quest for Creo and Rayden. Kimberly said, "Rayden is alive? Ask him if he knows how Rachel was murdered, and find out if he was involved." Chastain said, "Rayden is not there. This is J.J. When we see Rayden, I am sure we will find out everything." Turner butted in and said, "Kimberly, you will be the first to know when we find out." Kimberly, anxious to know so the killer could be brought to justice, begged Turner to find out what happened to her baby. Kieran, not in the mood to eat anymore, just asked for a cup of coffee so he did not look too suspicious. He did not want a big meal because he was going to have to leave shortly to form his plan to end everyone in his way and possibly follow the detectives without being noticed. J.J. said, "Yes, he is here in Hickory and is hiding out in his house," continuing the conversation on the phone. "Please meet us there within the next 15 or 45 minutes. The address is 1616 Oakwood Drive. Please meet us. Give us about 45 minutes. That'll do." Kieran, already sipping on his coffee, heard the address where Rayden lived, but he already knew it, because it was on the label in Rayden's backpack that was on the table at Creo's cabin. Kieran could not go back to the cabin. The sheriff was planning on heading that way, plus he did not have time or the patience to go kill Sheriff Reeves and some deputies. He wanted Rayden, and to know the whereabouts of Creo. Chastain hung up with J.J., told Turner they would leave as soon as their order came out, and they ate. They had a little bit of time since J.J. said meet in the next 45 minutes. When Kieran heard that, he finished up his coffee, left a $5 bill on the table, and got up and walked out. He walked straight for the door, no eye contact, and with anyone left in the diner without anyone's curiosity. Kieran then walked to the nearby woods, to the same place which he hid to intercept the waitress, Jennifer, and eventually kill her. He decided to form his plan there, and then take action. J.J. then picked up the phone and called Sheriff Reeves' emergency line. This line was only to be used in case of a robbery, a murder, or someone being attacked, just some type of definite emergency. Reeves' emergency phone rang and Reeves was on his way to the cabin. The phone was in the car phone holder attached to his dashboard. Reeves hit answer and put it on speakerphone. Reeves, knowing the office was the only place with the emergency number, answered the phone. "What is going on now?" "Sir, this is J.J. I have found Rayden, and he has information about the lighthouse and the local murders." Reeves said, "You found Rayden? That's great. We need the information. We need to find out what's going on and bring this killer to justice." Reeves also said, "Is his dad with him?" J.J. said, "No, Charles was killed at the lighthouse." Reeves said, "But his body was not found on the murder site." J.J. said, "It can be all explained by Rayden. Meet us at Rayden's house in about 45 minutes. Reeves said, "I will try. I have to go check the cabin out first to see if I can find the boys, and hopefully they are still alive." J.J. ended the conversation. "Sir, if they did go to the woods, then they are already dead. Be at Rayden's house in 45 minutes, 1616 Oakwood Drive, and hung up the phone. Reeves, flustered by the phone call and its abrupt ending, continued to head to the school, as his mind began to wonder, how did JJ get involved so deeply in all of this? And could JJ be right? Are the boys already dead? There you have it. Episode 11. The Truth Unfolds. Like I said, if you're enjoying these stories, these episodes of this story, please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. That'd be well appreciated. And if you've missed the other episodes and the first season, you can go to www.youtube.com/@EricRuggles, hit the playlist Empty Podcast Episodes, and then you can watch any episode that you want or listen to any episode that you want. All right. Appreciate it. Thank you.